So the next shot that I'm going to cover is the leg wrap. And this is the last of the 5 basic shots that I throw. If you've been following this series of videos, you're going to see that I throw flat snap, leg snap, offside head, head wrap, and leg wrap. Those are the shots that I teach as basic mechanics. There are only 2 other mechanics that I teach at all. And those are the offside Molinet to the leg and the inverted slot or the pendulum. I may go into those later, but those are not basic shots. The mechanics on those are complicated, and the risk doesn't meet the reward on those. They are shots I will absolutely be happy to show pretty much anybody how to do when the time is right for them, but do not consider them to be basic shots. So in finishing this first series on the basics with the leg wrap. So the leg wrap is going to work very much the same as the head wrap. And again, if you have not already gone through this series of videos, please start at the beginning with the introduction to stick mechanics. Each of these shots builds one on another, so it's important that you go through all of them. Please don't just try to jump in the middle of one of these. So regarding the mechanic on the head wrap, as I'd said before, we want to make sure to maintain the same plane throughout the whole course of the shot. And the mechanic that we're doing for the head wrap is going to come from here. If I were to finish on a flat snap here and roll this into a head wrap, this is the mechanic that I'm using to get that, to be able to roll that around. So one of the things about throwing a leg wrap is if I were to stand here with my stick on my shoulder and just let my stick drop off my shoulder, I want you to watch what happens. Right? The stick kind of naturally wants to roll in that direction anyway. It wants to roll in for a leg shot. And one of the things about this though is if we were to let this take its natural arc and roll the way it naturally wants to do, we're going to end up hitting low depending on where we are on the opponent. So as we're finishing the leg wrap, we start with the same hip rotation that we start with all of the shots. Everything I do going sword side starts exactly the same, and it all starts with that hip rotation. And so as I rotate the hip, and as I mentioned earlier in the for the leg snap, if I was to throw a leg snap, it would end here. So if I'm going to use the same mechanic and I'm just going to roll my hand so that it finishes in the leg, this is the mechanic that we're using to get that. So as my hand comes slightly down, it is going to roll here. And I just want to make sure that as we're rolling this, we want to make sure that we're rolling it so that it comes square. I'd mentioned in the video for the leg snap that it's difficult for us to be able to get a good perpendicular angle on the leg snap because of the way that the hand rolls down. Curiously enough, with the wrap, because of the way that the wrap is coming around to the side, you can get a good square 90-degree perpendicular angle on that, and that is going to give us good energy transfer for this particular blow. So as we're throwing it, you can let it roll off the shoulder and come down. You know, let the tip come out as it does with all the other shots. Show it from this angle. Again, if I was to go from here and roll this into a flat snap, this is the motion that you see there. So and you're going to see as we do this, I'm able to maintain the same plane as much as possible to roll that around. Oh. And again, you'll notice I'm going to exaggerate the hip rotation on most of these. Make sure I'm starting with the hip rotation. I'm using the hip rotation to generate motion, to get the stick moving off the shoulder at all. Let it just roll down. This is what it looks like a little more full speed. That's leg wrap.